And then what you can do while you're playing is hit this palm switch. But this is still a prototype, so the switch is on the back. And now you have echo, the delay effect, come straight out of the guitar. Intro. Yeah, my name's Mike. I'm the founder of Tonic. We're a music hardware company that's looking to revolutionize the way that people write, record, and perform music. At the moment, electronic music is a rapidly growing field within the overall field of music. But despite that, electronic musicians are constantly complaining about their instruments. Deadmau5 made a huge splash years ago when he said, "We all hit play," meaning you have your laptop, you press play, and you pretend to do what you're doing. And pretend like you're actually playing a song. And a bunch of other artists ended up chiming in, both agreeing with him and not, but it was really evident that there were still problems within the space. The Glitch Mob, for example, has a device called Ableton, software called Ableton, which runs all of their music systems through there. And they said that they have to work really hard actually to get that to make mistakes so it seems like a lot of performance for their audience. A friend of mine, Look Mom No Computer, complained to me a while back that he had a computer alert go off in the middle of his song, and everyone knew that he was just hitting play. But some artists do it live. They do mix everything right on the stage. But the problem is the tools that they use are attached to a table. So you're constantly turning knobs and moving sliders, and you can't tell that they're actually doing something other than hitting play. And as he said, nobody can even see my hands or know what I'm doing. So artists are getting around this to some extent. They're creating their own instruments to solve these problems. The Glitch Mob, who I mentioned, they've got this massive setup with iPads and drums in the back, and they hit the different parts of the iPads and it plays their samples, and that's their way of performing live. Imogen Heap has created these gloves which you move around through space and those adjust the way that the music interacts with her voice or the different instruments that she has. And Purity Ring has these different light installations which, if you put your hand over, they trigger the different notes. The problem with these instruments, though, is they're custom solutions for each individual artist. And custom solutions, anyone who's involved with hardware, costs a lot of money. So amateurs don't have access to these tools, and they're still just hitting play. So when we look at this augmented instrument market, it almost doesn't exist yet. But it's actually, the categories that will become augmented instruments are rapidly growing. And we're worth $4.3 billion in the last year, the overall market being $16 billion. Now, investors are already starting to take notice of this. Rolly, who's based in London as well, actually, has raised $43.5 million pounds in investment over its lifetime. And Nave Instruments just raised around 50 million euros. Rolly, by the way, is valued at over 234 million pounds itself. So, but none of these companies are focusing on guitar. So, guitar being the biggest selling instrument in the world. So what we've created is a device called Pulse. It attaches to an acoustic guitar, and it actually actively modifies the way the guitar vibrates. So you can have effects like echo, delay, distortion, and reverb come straight out of the guitar with no pedals, wires, or amplification. As this says, and we have actually a bit of a demo for you. So, the mic. So normally, you play a chord, sounds like this. And then what you can do while you're playing is hit this palm switch. But this is still a prototype, so the switch is on the back. And now you have echo, the delay effect, come straight out of the guitar. And that's how the pulse works. So, moving forward, the guitar's not the only instrument. As I said, it's the best-selling instrument, so that's what we want to start with. But following that, we want to build something for every musician. So what we want to do is build accessories to the musicians' existing instruments so that we don't disrupt their workflow. They already know how to play the instrument. We can't make a new instrument for them and tell them they should learn it. So we're going to add accessories that augment their instruments and provide them more range of sounds, more ease of use, whatever the problem with their existing instruments are. And then further on in the future, there's an opportunity to combine everything we learned from that when we have an established team and we have established customers who are looking at Tonic products and want Tonic products, and then we can start releasing completely new instruments to completely redo the way that people look at music. As I said, my name's Mike. I actually was working in Silicon Valley for a while on a product called One Wheel, which is a self-balancing skateboard. It's kind of like a Segway, but sideways. And you lean one way and go that way, you lean the other way and go that way. Before that, I was a co-founder on a company called Club, which was a cycling accessories company. We were one of GP's best products in 2014. The product is actually in the Henry Ford Design Museum as well. And we sold over 500,000 in products in our first year for that. We also have an amazing range of advisors on the team. Paul, who heads up our communications advisory, he used to do PR for the Gorillas, he used to do communications director for Sony Music. Manuela, who helps me with financial planning, used to consult for Eurostar on that. Jeff, who I've known for a long time, he used to be a CEO of a major law firm in Canada, and is now the CFO of a smart cities company called Pay by Sky. And John, who I've actually founded Club with, who's been designing consumer electronics since the flip phone days when he was lead designer at Sierra Wireless. Yeah, so you already know about the CRL. They're an amazing accelerator on the hardware end. They help with connecting with companies like Indiegogo and Kickstarter who will need to move things forward, and also bringing people like you in here to talk about electronics and talk about nerdy engineering things with me. But also, on the music side, we've got some people helping us called The Rattle. They connect us with artists, they connect us with all the major record labels, Virgin, Sony, EMI, to make sure that we're connected with musicians as we're creating things and can create things that they actually want. So what we've done is we've validated the need through talking with artists and through a massive survey that we ran. You've seen the working and aesthetic prototype. We've got our manufacturers selected, we've got our PR company selected, and we're actually using them and going to NAMM tomorrow it's basically the music equivalent of CES, for those of you who know that. And press is already being really excited. Just this week, we got featured in Music Radar, which is one of the biggest music publications in the world. So right now we're raising funding to go on Kickstarter. So any investors in the room, come see me afterwards if you're interested. And we're going to launch a Kickstarter campaign and start delivering product and creating the future of music. If you're interested in getting involved, again, come talk to me. If you don't get a chance, my email is mike@tonicsound.com. Thank you.